Good afternoon, everybody. This is Jason Neufeld from Elder Needs Law, and today we are interviewing Robin Rouah. She is an ALF placement expert, an ALF placement professional, and we have a lot of interaction with each other. You know, in my role as an elder law attorney, people come to me because they need some level of long-term care. It could be home care, ALF care, nursing home care. But when it's ALF care, they're coming to me because they need help paying for that care, or they don't want to drain all of their life savings in an effort to get good assisted living facility level of care. But of course, the natural question becomes, what is the best assisted living facility for myself, or the best assisted living facility for my loved one? And to that end, I say, listen, I'm just the attorney. And while I have some interaction with these facilities, I don't keep up with the management. I don't keep up with the quality control. And there are hundreds, if not thousands, of assisted living facilities around. I couldn't possibly keep up with all of them. So I rely on experts like Robin to keep me abreast of this information, to provide my clients with her expert level of guidance so that they can find the proper facility for themselves. So with that, Robin Rouah, thank you so much for joining us today. Please introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about what you do.
Thank you so much for having me, Jason. So Placement Counselors was established back in 1999 by Umberto Fortuna. I started working with him back in 2004, so about 18 years now. He started this company because there was such a tremendous need for people. What happens after you're in a nursing home or a rehab, or you can no longer stay at home? So we really become the, shall I say, experts in the field, really hold the hands of the families and the clients. We cover the Tri-County area. We work with from the smaller residential assisted living facilities all the way up to the larger communities, or like the hotel kind of setting.
Sure.
We speak with families. I have many families who are out of town, whose loved ones are here, those that are coming from a hospital or a rehab, or living at home and can no longer live at home alone. So we are there to really hold the hands of the families and guide them through this crazy web of assisted living until we get them into the right place.
So terrific. So you touched upon a few things that I want to dig a little bit deeper into. One of them is the different types of assisted living facilities, from the small facilities to the more hotel-like settings. Can you delve into that a little bit further to tell us a little bit about what are the different types of facilities available that are my clients and your clients ought to be considering?
Okay. So depending really on the needs of the patient, and we get very involved with that, very clinically involved. So if the person needs more hands-on care, doesn't really want to go to a nursing home, can qualify for a smaller residential or 6-bed ALF, most of them are licensed for 6 residents. They provide a much higher level of care than the larger communities.
And these are the ones that are like, essentially they're converted single family homes, right?
That is correct.
They're just in any ordinary neighborhood, and they might be next to a non-ALF in a community, but this particular single family home has been retrofitted or enhanced to serve as a small assisted living facility.
Absolutely,
right?
Absolutely. And they go through a lot to get licensed.
Yeah.
Some of them have what we call an ECC license, an extended care license, where they can provide a much higher level of care. They can take people in with colostomies, peg tubes, catheter, a lot of things that would normally be for skilled nursing. They can take them in with those extra licensures. So they're there to provide either more physical care, or someone who just does not want to be in a large facility, just wants a home-like environment.
Sure.
Having meals by the dining room table, minimal interaction, but knowing that your loved one is in a community with 24-hour supervision.
Right. Okay. Very good. Okay. So these single family homes, if the small home setting is not for them, where do they go from there? What's the next?
Then we look into, we have mid-size,
Mhm.
ones that are licensed for 30, 40, 50 people,
Mhm.
up to the larger kind of assisted living, what I call more like the hotel.
Right.
You have your own apartment, you go to a dining room for your meals, they provide transportation. Some of them have separate independent living communities. Some of them are on the same grounds with assisted living. They may have a separate memory care building, but that is typically what a larger place can provide.
And what are the different services that you'll find in one of these larger facilities compared to the smaller ones?
Definitely socialization, transportation, a lot more activities going on. So if you have somebody that's very social, their assisted living portion can still provide a lot of care. They would normally charge based on a level of care of the person. So you would rent you would have the apartment, and then their level of care is assessed on top of that.
Right. Yeah. Okay. And then how do we get from what are the levels of care within the ALF setting? So I know we have, in my mind, there's virtually independent, some limited long-term care needs, and then there's memory care where they're in a lockdown unit. Can you walk us through that spectrum?
So from the independent living, as you said, they are completely independent. Lots of socialization. If they do need some private duty, of course, you can have a private duty aide with you in that situation. No levels of care. Assisted living, some communities are doing, some are bundling, so they're charging one rate including care. Some are doing more like a point system, so they're charging you just for the care you need. And some will do levels, like level 1 would include dressing, bathing, level 2 would include med management, and so on. Memory care, most communities, you're correct, it is a secured community. Most of them will include the level of care of the resident. So it would be one rate, one rate.
Got it. And I often see, at least with my clients, they think of nursing home as like this catch-all term. They call the ALF the nursing home. I go, no. The nursing home is skilled nursing, long-term care. That is different. That is a higher level of care in most respects compared to an assisted living facility. Just briefly, can you tell us the difference between an assisted living facility and a skilled nursing facility, or what people call a nursing home?
So you're correct. A lot of people will just say, I need a nursing home because my mother can't cook. Nursing home, skilled nursing is exactly that. Nurses that are on staff. A lot of the skilled nursing facilities will provide for Medicaid patients, so they can live there long-term on their long-term Medicaid. But typically a nursing home is for those that need the skill of a nurse. Assisted living, if you really have to, break it down, assisted living is assistance with your daily activity, your activities of daily living. But even with that, some of them will have different licenses. So you may have one with a limited nursing license where they can take some additional care needs of the patient, but not necessarily needing a nursing home. Nursing homes really are for those that are completely either bedbound or cannot function without the skill of a nurse.
Yeah, and this is, all the different levels of care available are, in my mind, the primary reason why, people don't know this stuff, right? The adult child of their elderly loved one, or the spouse of someone who needs care, they don't know this the way you know this. And one of the things that I love about what you do, we talked about this a little bit before we started recording, is the level of care you do personally when you're doing an intake for someone that I or anybody refers to you, so you can educate the family as to, hey, here are the facilities that make sense for you. Can you talk a little bit about that? What's your intake process like? You're not just, I liked what you said before, you're not just a realtor. You're not just driving people around to 20 different places. You're saying, no, we don't need to waste your time seeing the 20 places that are not going to make sense because of the detail you go into during your intake. So please talk about that a little bit.
Sure, of course. So with that intake, I will ask very specific questions. I want a little bit of background, a little bit of history on their loved one. If they are not social at all, coming from a home, it's like sending your child to sleepaway camp or college. You know, that would be so overwhelming for their parent or loved one that would not work at all.
Right.
So a lot of it is based on, first and foremost, the care needs. How much care do they actually need? Are they, I mean, we get so involved. Are they ambulatory? Are they, maybe they're only weight bearing? If they're weight bearing with a 2-person assist, they can get into a smaller residential assisted living where a larger place may say, you know, their care needs exceed what we're able to provide. What I don't like to see is somebody going to a larger assisted living facility and then having to pay for private duty on top of that. Right. Because they need so much care. We get a lot of calls from people like that, where we will then recommend a smaller ALF, the 6-bed. But so I will go through how much care they need, what's their social background, what is their budget? If they're working with a limited budget, not that the smaller places are less expensive, right? But they're going to bundle the care level. There won't be increases, so you don't need furniture. There's a whole lot of things that are involved with that. Right. So by the time I ask the questions that I need to know, I'm already calculating and figuring in my head which is going to be the best scenario for the family. Oftentimes they want to see the big ones just because they think that bigger is going to be better. Yeah. Because a lot of people are not familiar with these small residential, they think it's like, oh, it's somebody's house. Well, it's not. And I'll tell you, Jason, these small places work very hard at staying deficiency free. Yeah. Keeping their license. It's not easy. It's not, but they do a wonderful job and they really are a godsend. They truly are.
So terrific. So now I'd like to move into, again, I always encourage people to work with a professional like yourself, but if they want to go on a tour and they just want to figure this out on their own, let's give the viewer some practical advice. What should people be looking out for when they're touring an assisted living facility to tell, or how can they tell whether or not they're at a facility that's going to provide quality care?
They have to be realistic on the needs of the person. I think that's very important, because a lot of the places are big and beautiful and pretty. And if we're looking at independent living, that's a whole other scenario. Can you picture your loved one living in this kind of community and getting good socialization? The assisted living part, most importantly, you need to know what their levels of care consist of. You can certainly go and take a look. Does the family think that this is something that their loved one would like? You got to make sure it's not too big, not too overwhelming. Do they have separate, areas? Some of them have what we call step downs. They can have assisted living and then a moderate memory care and then a full memory care. Demographics, what's the best area, what are they looking for? So there's quite a bit to consider when you're looking at any kind of large assisted living. But the marketing people that work there know their communities very well. Yes. And they'll do their best to to make the proper recommendation. Ultimately, it would be up to the assisted living facility by evaluating their loved one on what level of care they feel. First of all, do they qualify to be in that community, and what level of care would they be able to come in at?
And I'm gonna, that's a lot of work for someone to do on their own, and it just takes so much of a load off their back when they work with someone like you, Robin. And I'm gonna smile as I ask this question. What do you charge for this amazing service you provide for these people?
Jason, it is a free service.
There we go. Yes.
So this is what we do. As I may have said, I'm personally doing this 18 years. We cover the Tri-County area. It is a free service to the community. We are compensated by the assisted living facilities because we become the experts for the assisted living facility.
Right.
I'm not going to make a recommendation to a facility, to a community, if I know they can't, handle the level of care
That's
of
right.
the person that I'm personally working with.
Yep.
So, so it's the facility that pays the consulting fee back to the agency. It's our job to make sure we get them in the right place.
Terrific. Robin Rouah with Placement Counselors Corp. Robin, we're going to put your email address and your preferred phone number in the show notes, but if you want to just give it out for the folks who are watching and want to write it down now without looking, what's the best phone number for someone if they want to reach you to talk to you about your services?
Sure. So my direct number is 954-303-2728. My email is, two emails can be first and last name, Robin Rouah, ROBINROUAH @yahoo.com. And company email is pcc@placementcounselors.com.
Terrific. Robin, thank you very much for educating our viewers and sharing your expertise. We appreciate it. You're providing a lot of value on a personal level. I've worked with you a number of times. I know that you go above and beyond and provide a great service to the clients that I refer your way. They all have lovely things to say about you. So thank you for the work you're doing in the community. And thanks for being with us.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. Anything I can do to help.
Thank you.